Luke, Luke, I am your father. Lola, Lola, Lola.
Well, I mean, we'll just start off. I mean, hello all. This is Hockey on Tap podcast. This is episode 99, the Dented Stanley Cup. I'm your host, Bill Dino. Of course, here with my three co-hosts, Little Steve, Schwim, and Shorts Guy. We're brought to you by Primetime Radio, courtesy of Sam Wu, who is playing this ever-lovely tune right now. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Please leave us a 5-star review if you'd be so kind. Let's just get to it. Shrim, how you doing, buddy?
I don't want to talk about it.
See, this is just the kind of, I was in the moment upset, and you guys are just piggybacking off that. But you know what this is, Shrim? This is how it feels to be a loser. This is how it feels to be a loser. You're
Welcome
now one of
to
us.
The Losers Club.
You are back to the loser club.
Yeah.
You are on high.
Yep.
You are 11 playoff series streak high. You're fallen. You've crestfallen. You are.
Hey, where's the meat?
You're back in. You're in Devil's territory right now.
It took me a while to become a loser, but I finally made it.
He is
Shrimp,
nowhere
if
near
you're not
Devil's
first-
territory.
If you're not first, you're last. So you and the Devils are in the same boat. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah,
Gentlemen, what are we drinking?
Oh, man.
What are we drinking? Shrim, are you drinking tears? What are you drinking?
Besides tears, I have two beverages I'm drinking. I'm drinking my delicious Cape May
Woo!
red gummy fish water ice that Shorts Guy was so so kind to get me, and my my penalty beer, my punishment beer or drink, I should say, is a White Claw mango.
Ooh, White Claw mango.
Ooh.
You should you should just. There's this thing. I listen to a Barstool podcast, but you guys make fun of me. That's fine. It's called Part of My Take, and they do Soggy Sorrows. So whenever their team loses in a championship, they just douse themselves in water and then do the podcast while sopping wet. So it's actually a pretty funny thing if that was to happen. So sure, if you want, just have Cynthia get a bucket. Yeah, have Cynthia just do a bucket and just douse you. That'd be funny.
Do the pot from the shower.
Yeah, exactly. Steve, what are you drinking, bud?
I'm back at Toppling Goliath, but this time a little. Can you name the reference? Forced Flare.
Forced?
Anyone?
Oh, that's from crap.
that
What's the
from,
one where they waiting?
Office Space?
Waiting.
Or waiting.
No, waiting.
Nope.
Isn't it waiting?
Nope. Office
Office
Space
Space?
from Better, right? Yeah.
Oh, it
I
is.
said Office
Okay.
They're pieces
Well,
of Flare.
waiting's the one. Doesn't waiting also have one where they have to wear a certain amount of crap on their uniform?
No.
Wasn't that one
That's
of the things
Office
with
Space.
Dane Cook?
No,
Nope,
it's
that's Office Space. Dane
Okay.
Cook is in Waiting, but you're not
Yes,
thinking
you
of
are
the
correct.
pieces of Flare. This is a double IPA with Citra, Idaho 7, Talus, and Cashmere hops. So just, I guess it's a pretty straightforward double IPA. Toppling Goliath, pretty awesome.
Hmm.
Melvin's getting into
bad.
trouble already.
Yeah,
That's always a good
what else
thing.
is new from Melvin?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
He's on,
Shorts
he's
guy,
on, he's on
lastly?
strike from
Yeah.
the podcast. I'm just getting his trouble now.
I've had this in my fridge for a while. I figured it was time for me to go with a non-Cape May or Mud Hen beer, since I feel like it's all I've had recently. Thank you, Tread. I'm going with Tin Barn Brewing Company tinfoil hats. Tin Barn and Alternate Endings. It might be a collab. I don't know. It was given to me, but it's called tinfoil hats. It's a triple
Nice.
IPA. It's an
It's
unfiltered
the
New England
it's the
triple
choice-
IPA.
it's the choice headwear of
Ooh.
your average Ranger fan. Also,
Alternate
Oh,
ending?
yeah.
Oh, tinfoil hats.
Tinfoil
I like
hats,
that.
yes.
I
I know you would have loved
right,
an alternate
so-
ending, but yeah, 9.5% for a triple IPA on a Monday.
he would have liked an alternate ending.
Exactly. I was going to say, that's why both of them worked pretty well. So I'm going by Omegang Dream Patch. It's a fruited sour, cherry, blueberry, raspberry. I was actually out on Long Island today. unfortunately for burial service. So sending love and prayers to my mother-in-law and the DeMarco family, who we lost about a month ago. My Beth's great grandmother. So obviously rest in peace, and the spears for her. But so we're out there and saw
Cheers.
this, and I figured, why not? Cheers! Why not get this beer? So it looks pretty good. It's brewed in partnership with Leafmans, which is in Denmark, I believe. So pretty cool. All right, so let's get into let's get to what's on tap for today's episode. Here's our weekly
Really
snapshot.
only one thing.
Your 2022 Stanley Cup champions. Colorado Avalanche.
You're getting so used to
Colorado
it.
the jersey.
Avalanche.
Why are you wearing the jersey today?
I mean, I was watching.
Because it
I was wearing
exploded
so much
off
this
them.
past weekend.
It was so tight.
Yep, exactly.
Is that an insult
Nope,
for Billy
2021, 2022 Stanley Cup champions. Schwim. Obviously, we'll get to this first, and then I want to go to the Cup champs. But I heard a lot of people talking this weekend, especially after the loss, about dynasties and whether Tampa belongs in there. Obviously, when you think of dynasty, you think 3 championships, but
At least 3.
just to have 11 straight series wins, they're the first in the Cap era to get to 3 Cup finals in back-to-back seasons. Obviously, if they win next year, if they get close next year, I think it kind of solidifies that. But I'm ready to say that Tampa's a dynasty. I think that what they did with this in this environment, where everything's about parity, I think they can absolutely have their due in the sun, and they're up there with that Islanders team from 1980s and the Oilers. Yeah, I know they won 4, but what they did in 11 straight series wins is pretty incredible. And if you give that same cap space and the same cap issues to teams like Edmonton and to Montreal and the Islanders, I think that it would be that much harder. And I think Tampa kind of proved that they should be up there with some of the top teams that have played.
But did Tampa really stay within the cap space rules?
Oh yeah, if you want to go that way. Yeah, true. So maybe they're more like those teams than we thought.
A little bit of cap circumvention there.
So I agree with the accomplishments shouldn't be downplayed at all, but I to put them up there with the Edmonton and Islanders dynasty is just kind of criminal.
I don't think they're there
I just
yet.
think that the way they did it and what they did,
I think they had to win this
testament.
one to solidify.
Yeah,
it.
they can. I mean,
had to
watch them. Watch them come back, and they win the night. You think of the Patriots never won 3 in a row, right? They never won 4 in a row, but they won a whole bunch in X amount of years. That's absolutely a dynasty. So if Tampa comes back and wins they win one next year.
Another 2.
They win
another
one.
2,
Yeah, another 2 in the next 3 years. Yeah, that's
Go to another
with
conference
the same with the same core. That's absolutely a dynasty. But right now, I mean, you have an incredible achievement, and back-to-back Cup winners. Making it to the Cup again is great, but they're not there yet. Let's pump the brakes there a little bit, William.
Patriots won. I guess it was
They're
only
your
2. I
favorite
thought
team,
they had
right,
won
Boogie?
3.
They won like 3 out of 4 years
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah, they definitely won 3 out of 4. I thought they had won though.
Not 3 in a row. 1 and
3
then
in a row.
a loss and then 2.
Yeah, probably. Who cares about the Patriots? They suck. All right, so we'll talk about Tampa in a little bit, but let's get to the Cup champs. We'll start off from the top down. Management. Joe Sakic, took this team over 5 years ago. Oh, it's actually 6 years ago now. That first season, he had 22 wins, 48 points. They were dead last. Kel McCarr drafting him, the trade for Devon Taves, the trade for Andrew Cogliano, Helm, Lehkonen, the Nishushkin signing. He built this team, and he's got his his fingerprints all over it. Joe Sakic, the consummate winner, 2 Stanley Cups with the Avalanche, brought the team, from Nordiques all the way to obviously Colorado, and then winning those championships with Patrick Waugh and with Ray Bourque and Blake and Foote and all these guys, right? You talk about that team back in 2001 and before that, 98. But, just what he's done with this franchise, Joe Sakic has just been fantastic. So I just figured we'd touch base with him. And then next, Bednar, the coach. He won an ECHL championship. He won an AHL championship, and now he gets the trifecta, the Stanley Cup. He's the first coach to win all three. He's got a .649 win percentage in the playoffs, minimum of 50 games. He's fourth all time in those stats. I just think that those two guys, top down, they've led this franchise, and it's pretty impressive what they've done.
He was also I saw someone post that he played the Anaheim Bullfrogs of roller hockey international at one point. So he was a roller hockey guy too, which I think is pretty cool.
Anyone else got anything on Bednar / Sakic?
No, Bednar is this unsung coach that nobody even really. He's got this powerhouse of a team, right? And nothing can go wrong. I still think John Cooper is hands down the best coach in the league. Regardless of, I think that Jack Adams is BS as far as giving it to the actual best coach. They just usually give it to the coach who has the best turnaround, right?
Usually, yep.
And you see Hall of Fame coaches have sometimes 0 Jack Adams awards or maybe 1 when they obviously could have won it many years in a row. Anyway. No, Bednar definitely proved a lot. He had that they stuck with him after that horrendous season. They were the worst team by a lot, right?
That was his first year. Yeah,
that was his first year there.
And they stuck with him, and it certainly paid off. The guy, like you said, you mentioned he's won at ECHL, AHL, NHL at this point, and was it juniors as well?
Yep.
Yeah,
he was a high school coach. He started as a high school hockey coach.
Yeah, between him and Sakic is quite a tandem, and you talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning dynasty. I don't see any reason why Colorado can't replicate that. Maybe they upgrade in goal a little bit, even though Darcy Kemper was fine, and I'll just say he was fine. He did what he had to do. He wasn't outstanding by any means, but he did what he had to do.
He was average.
They could obviously
what they needed him to do.
If they have Tampa's always going to be a threat with John Cooper and Vasilevsky. I mean, they're always going to have a chance with those two guys. And then, of course, the supporting cast, who are no slouches by any means. But those two are just the best in the business at their positions, and it's really not even close anywhere else yet. But, yeah, it's impressive. It's impressive what they did and how they turned it around. And, they could have – I mean, some argue they probably should have done this already the last, 3 seasons, right, before this?
2 years. I think last year was the big one where you could see this team was legit.
Yeah. They, get past those couple. They lost the first round, I think, twice in a row in the second round or something like that. But, yeah, no, it's I was impressed by all of this, yeah. Because when you think, there's all these reasons that the team could have been unmotivated or tired or ill-prepared because, they swept 2 series in the Western Conference, and then, the other one only went to 6 games, and they came out flying in game 1. So, he really has those players playing for him, and it's impressive, and it was nice to see.
Okay, so let's get into the games, and we'll start talking about, each guy individually. We'll go from there. So their captain, Gabriel Landeskog, on teams being able to replicate the Avs' success. So after, obviously goes up game 6, lifts the cup. I always find that moment when a captain lifts the cup very cool. It's an awesome thing to see, no matter if it's a team you hate or a team you like, or just if you're indifferent about teams. So that was good for him. He was obviously very appreciative of his family and coaching and all his buddies, players. On teams being able to replicate the Avs' success, he said, find a Cale Makar somewhere. Not only was Landeskog a monster in the faceoff dot, but he played basically on any line that was hurting for offense or hurting on defense or just hurting in general with man play down. So starting with the captain Landeskog, I thought he played awesome. Nathan MacKinnon, 1.33 points per game in the playoffs, is 3rd all time behind Gretzky and Lemieux. He obviously had the goal and the assist on the game winner. So he had the 2 points in the 2-1 win in game 6. Speaking of Cale Makar, most playoff points by a defenseman in the first 50 playoff games since Bobby Orr. He's also second in points per game to Orr. It's the highest points total for a D-man in 30 years. He ties Orr and Lidstrom for Norris and Conn Smythe in single seasons. In the last 3 years, he's collected the Hobey Baker, the Calder Trophy, the Norris Trophy, the Conn Smythe, and now the Stanley Cup. He's the first in history to do that. Taylor Makar, who's his brother, he was at the press conference, was talking about his bro and them winning the Cup, with the same team. It just so happens that Taylor Makar also goes to UMass. He's a player, a defenseman there, and he's also an Avs prospect. So pretty cool that they're both on same team. I know that obviously he didn't win a Cup, but it's an interesting little thing. And lastly, just from guys singling out, Nazem Kadri, he can't tie his own skates. His trainer has had to tie his skates the last 3 games. For those who, and this is the quote I think of the week. For those who doubted me coming back from broken thumb and said I was a liability, kiss my ass. I thought that was fantastic. Nazem Kadri's had a tumultuous season, from everything from the St. Louis, issues with people being racist to, the broken thumb. I thought he had a great season, obviously 87 points, and now he goes out and has a great postseason. He has the game winner in Game 4. Kadri was he was awesome for them, and he's going to get a big payday this offseason along with Valeri Nichushkin, and it's going to be fun to watch those guys. So any thoughts on those guys we're just chatting about?
Did you mention the quote that Landeskog said about Makar?
Yeah, I said that he find a Cale Makar somewhere. That's the only way to replicate the Avs' success. Yep.
Yeah, good luck to anybody else.
Yeah,
this
good
kid
luck.
is going to be he's going to be one of the best we've ever seen.
Yeah,
That's
and
sure.
you said a couple weeks ago, I said that I think he could win a Hart Trophy. There's multiple people that have said this now, and I said that, and I think he's going to win a Hart. He's that good.
I'm still not sure.
I don't think.
They got the Norris. The defensemen have the Norris Trophy. The goalies have the
You can still
Vezina.
win.
So it's really they can, yes, of course, because there have been people who won, but it's just highly unlikely. You need to have like a season for the record books in order to and have nobody come close. Because I mean, he would have to,
You'd have to
on a
lead the league in
powerhouse.
points.
Yeah, and he's on a powerhouse team, so of course, he gets a little bit of a knock there. But as far as Hart Trophy goes, but it's just like I said all the time, it's unlikely that a goalie or a defenseman are going to win the Hart Trophy. I just highly doubt it. Not that he doesn't have the talent or probably the right to win it, but doesn't mean he will.
How's that white claw taste, Schwinn?
Tastes terrible. Tastes like
At 28
loser tears.
At 28
Tastes so
goals for
bitter,
the
it's like
season, he's
ashes
already
in my mouth.
he's tied for 20th all time for goals in a season. The goals record obviously is held by Steve. What defenseman?
Paul Coffey.
Paul Coffey, 48 with Edmonton and 85-86. Obviously, 28 to 48 is a huge jump, but if he's to have a 40-goal season as a defenseman, I think that puts him extremely close. I know 28 to 40 is a big jump.
It's a lot of goals.
Yeah,
It's a lot of goals.
but I'm just saying he's a third-year player. He's just turned 23, and he's at 28 goals. So it's pretty impressive. But yeah, Cale Makar, proud of UMass. He's something, and I'd be very interested to see how he goes from here. And I do think a Hart could be in his future, which is it's pretty good. Even to say that he could be in the competition for that is an extremely
He can be in discussion, but he won't win one.
yeah.
Mentioned for if he's nominated alone, I think that's pretty.
Steve
Yeah.
Zonabet, Cale Makar. Cale
When
Makar
it gets
wins a
for
Hart,
the-
I need.
For the next 17 years, we're gonna have the Zona bet going to see if he
Yes,
ever wins.
exactly.
The Hart Trophy.
Open zone of bet. Just an open zone of bet.
Yep. Lastly, on the and dented Stanley Cup for our title, Nicholas Aube-Kubel dents the cup after skating to
Yep.
the team photo. He basically just wipes out. He ate shit, and
Yeah, he did.
he just fell and bent the bottom of it in. And then Phil Pritchard, who we've had on the podcast and we've had on Let's Go Devils
Let's Go
podcast.
Devils.
He tweeted a video about this being
we
the
should have
first
him on
time.
again,
Yeah, especially, if we get him on next week, that'd be pretty awesome.
especially after
This
this.
is the first
Yeah.
time. Yeah, this is the first time it's been dented on ice, and it only took 5 minutes during the celebration for them to dent it. So, good job, Colorado.
He's a free agent.
Lastly,
He doesn't care.
yeah, exactly. Lastly, Stan Kroenke, and this guy's on a heater right now. He obviously is the owner of the St. Louis Rams, who just won the Super Bowl. He now wins with the Colorado Avalanche. Do you guys know how many teams this guy owns?
No idea.
All right, Seth,
I
so-
know he also hold on.
Arsenal.
I know he also owns Arsenal and Colorado Rapids, and
Yes.
he is one of the most hated individuals
Yes.
in the Arsenal world. They hate him.
Yeah.
They absolutely hate him because he does nothing for that team. They've been just mediocre for years, and they hate him.
So in 2022,
Non-Colorado.
Kroenke experienced.
Poor
Yeah,
little
not
Kelly.
Colorado.
Yeah, poor Kelly.
In 2022, Kroenke experienced a unique feat with 4 of his teams winning championships in the same calendar year. The Rams, the Gorillas of the Call of Duty League, so he's an e-gamer, the Mammoth, who are the NLL lacrosse championship, and the Avalanche, winning the Stanley Cup. He also owns Arsenal. We just talked about it. They just
Literally
spent a ton of money.
Collects teams like playing cards.
Yes.
Can you imagine
But
giving
how
that much money?
How filthy
playing
rich do
Magic
you have to be to
the
own
Gathering
all
for-
these? Yeah. So he's founder of the Kroenke Group. He is Arsenal. He is Arsenal Women's Football Club. He is the Rams. He is the Denver Nuggets. He is the Avalanche. He is the Colorado Rapids. He is the Colorado Mammoth. He is the LA Gladiators, the LA Gorillas, the Screaming Eagles, Winery and Vineyards. He owns a winery and vineyard, which is like the best American winery in the country. And then he's also owner of Wagoner Ranch. This guy, and he's got the best mustache in all of hockey right now. That thing is a bush and a half. So, he's married to Ann Walton, so obviously the Walmart heiress. So it's not really so much his money,
not
but
really his
good for
money.
him.
I guess.
And
He's
one of
working
them,
smart
one of
instead of
the
working hard.
one of the Walton clan just purchased your beloved Denver Broncos, didn't they, Steven?
Yeah,
Mhm.
the Broncos.
Sure did.
Oh,
Oh,
And
Denver
anytime a Raider,
Broncos.
anytime a Raider fan goes into Walmart and makes a purchase, they're contributing to the Denver Broncos franchise.
Yes. That's awesome. Yep, just screwing over Raiders fans everywhere. All right, so let's get to Tampa. First off, this guy just first of all, the defeat's amazing, but the end result's terrible. But Corey Perry, he's lost the last 3 Cup finals. He was
Yeah.
he was on Dallas when they lost to Tampa, for the first championship of 2. Then he goes to Montreal in a stunning run. He gets them to the Cup finals. Not just him, but he gets the Cup finals and he loses again to Tampa. So he figures, why not join the beast and try to win 3? And it goes the opposite way. So obviously he has a cup from Anaheim back 15 years ago, but that is one hell of a streak, first of
Yeah, to
all,
be that
and
close.
just terrible
He's-
luck. You could see his wife in
he's
the
the only
stands
guy that's
just
done
bawling her eyes out. Yeah.
I believe he's
who-
the only one that's been in 3 Cup finals in a row and lost all 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Correct.
Steve
Marin
knows
Hossa
the other guy
almost
that did
did.
too. Hossa, yeah, Hossa.
But he
almost.
won with Chicago, so
Poor little Corey
that was
Perry.
that was
Well-
Chicago's first Cup victory too. So that was he chanced it and won. So
Yeah.
and then he won 3. So good for Hossa.
Yeah. Speaking of the coach, John Cooper, at the end of the game, he was with Kevin Weeks, after the celebration for Colorado. He said, it's not the end of our cup run. It's not like we lost to some powder puff. And then he also said that he will remember this team the most. He thought that the grit and determination that they had, just the amount of injuries that they had. He gave a little tidbit that Braden Point should have stopped, should have stopped playing
Braden
hockey.
Point
And
gets hurt
this
now.
is an injury. This is an injury that Braden Point should be out until September with. So he kind of gave you a little information on that. But guys like Eric Chernak who were beaten up. He spoke a lot about those guys. Sorelli with his shoulder where he couldn't even do faceoffs anymore, and that was kind of just once you lose Point and Sorelli, your offense just got dwindled down. You could see that Colorado, and we'll get into the games in a little bit, but you could just see that Colorado was just wearing them down with speed, and they didn't need to shut down necessarily the Stamkos, Kucherov, Palat line, and they really didn't, but they shut down everybody else, and you could see that once Tampa couldn't get that top line scoring, it was the end of their that run, because you could just see that they couldn't muster up anything offensively from these other lines, and that's what you needed. You need that depth scoring against a Colorado team that could just come at you in waves.
Alex Killorn had 0 playoff goals.
Yes.
He had 25 in the season, his most ever, and in the playoffs, 0. So that line, it was him, Sorelli, and Hagel most of the time. Defensively, they were very good, but offensively, they produced little to nothing, unfortunately. Sorelli kind of did towards the end. He was actually scoring a little bit, but that guy scores 0 goals. 0 goals.
I think I honestly think you have
that's huge.
Somewhat of a concern in Brandon Hagel. The only benefit is that he's making a shade over $1 million, but that guy came over as a weapon in Chicago and scored. He had a couple empty netters, right? That was about it.
Yep.
Yeah, but you tried to, and I think you like on when they first made the acquisitions. I think trying to reconstruct a third line that was comparable to the one that was winning you the back-to-back cups, wasn't too bad because it was who was it? Hagel, Nick Paul, and who ended up being the third on that.
At first, it was Hagel, Paul, and I don't know whoever they threw with him, and then it became Hagel, Killorn, and Sorelli. Was like kind of like the shutdown line, which they did a really good job. They held Nathan McKinnon to a goal off his skate, and then the one goal that he had yesterday that went off Vasi's blocker.
I mean, I don't want to say that they didn't, because Hagel was effective. He just wasn't effective. He wasn't effective offensively at all, but he was an effective player. So was Nick Paul. Was consistently
hard. He was skating hard, but just like they could not get any offense going. Sorelli a little bit. Sorelli scored a couple of times.
But that's the difference in your third line. You had an effective third line, but it wasn't every single. You go back and you look at every cup winner from the last, I don't even know how many years, there is a third line that is extremely effective that basically carries teams because you could do matchups all you want against the star players in the first and second line, and if that third line can produce close to what a first line can, it's enormous. And I think one of the first ones that, of course, we remember the HBK for Pittsburgh was the Hagelin, Kessel, and Bonino line, and that made teams realize they need to have a scoring third line. And I think since then, third lines across the league have become more offensive minded than just a checking line. And that prototypical third line that you usually saw is now the fourth line. And those fourth liners are all out of a job.
Mm-hmm.
Lastly, just Stamkos, also, who said we're done. So, Tampa, obviously a terrible loss, something that's going to stick with them for a while. You can see Vasilevsky, when he's walking back to the locker room, he was pissed.
Did you see Kucherov at the end of the game?
No, I missed that.
When they waved off that icing kind of, I mean, I knew they were going to wave it off anyway, but like right at the end there, Kucherov was at the bench thinking that they were going to call icing.
Yeah,
and they didn't. That. And he's like throwing like his like gloves and shit. The guy, like, I think he needed a new stick also, but the trainer, whoever, didn't have a stick ready for him, so he's like throwing his gloves like all pissed off. That one, it wasn't called icing, and two, nobody was getting him a new stick. He was like livid, just standing on the ice right there. It was.
You've been requested to start checking the Facebook live chat because you're getting a lot of heat on there at the moment.
What are they saying?
Ooh.
You might want to check it out.
I will get to Facebook Live, so this way we can get some guys in here.
How do you forget about
It's a familiar face. A familiar face is requesting a presence.
Rangers. So Mr. One Jeff Zawacki.
Right. Yeah.
Rangers would have beat Colorado. Let's be honest. Tampa sucks. Rangers lost on purpose because they wanted Tampa 3-peat, and then Tampa blew it. Is Schwim? I don't want to say that last one, but is Schwim drinking White Claw? Question mark.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm going to stop after this.
Schwim, you should
shotgun
yeah,
a
no
White
more
Claw.
talking.
It's my
Schwim, that should have been your
Penalty.
penance for this, is to shotgun a White Claw on camera.
Yeah.
You should have.
the fact that I'm drinking it right now on camera is, I think, bad enough.
Yeah, but
I think this
shotgunning
calls-
That's a thick one too.
I think this calls for a power hour. I don't know about you guys.
Oh my gosh,
We'll see.
that's a terribly great idea.
All right, let's
A live-
quickly.
A live event. A Hockey on Tap
Ooh,
live
live
event. Power hour.
Not bad.
Oh,
I
God.
like that. All right, so we'll talk quickly. Last week, we had Game 3 on the TV. The Bolts, beat the Avs 6-2. The Lightning start better. They went up 2-1 in the first period, 6-2 after the second period. Kucherov got hurt after that hit from behind. Point didn't play in Game 3. Kemper was pulled for Francouz after allowing 5 in the second period. Game 4, 3-2 overtime win for the Avs, and that's where I think that obviously if Tampa had gotten that win, it's a much.
They
different
could have got
series,
one of those
but,
overtimes.
the Avs, yeah,
Could have been different.
the Avs
Mhm.
pull it out in OT, went 3-1 in the series. The OT goal controversy with too many men for the Avs. The NHL
There's
reviewed
3
with the
games
refs
in a row
after the
where there
game.
were too many men controversies.
Yep.
The last 3 games
All
had
four-
too many men controversies.
Yeah, all 4 refs said they did not see too many men, and it was actually kind of funny because they were saying there were 6 for Colorado, but when you look at it, there's actually 7 for Tampa, which they were much closer to the bench than Colorado was. But it was just funny because everyone's calling out odd numbers. It wasn't a reviewable play, so obviously Tampa was a little flustered with that. But Kadri with the game winner over the Vasi blocker again. No one knew that there was a goal except for 2 Avs
Under his
fans
arm.
in the corner. Yeah,
Went under his arm.
It was
Yeah,
blocker,
it was-
but I'm saying it was blocker side again.
I don't know.
Eh,
I don't know.
Only
That's
2
good.
Avs fans in the corner knew it was a goal, which was very funny. They're the only ones shitting and cheering, and everybody else couldn't see what it was. And then I think it was it Kucherov that came over and kind of just fluttered it out from the back
No,
of the net.
I think it was Stamkos was trying to pull it out.
Stamkos.
Yeah.
Knocked it out and
Yeah,
oh, what?
and that's when the ref noticed, and then I think he had to go and check. But yeah, I think if they just left it there, maybe it was a little better.
I was listening to that on the radio, and even the radio announcers were like saying that it was a save. It was underneath Vasi, and all of a sudden they're like, "Wait, it might have gone in. I think that went in." It's like,
Yep.
Make up your mind. Like, tell me what it did. I'm driving, please.
Yeah. Obviously, Kadri wasn't shooting hard in warm-ups. This is the first game he'd come back. But obviously a very good goal at the end on that backhand. Burakovsky and Point were both out. Kemper starts after getting pulled in Game 3. Cirelli scores that first for the Bolts. Kemper without the helmet, so there was a little controversy on that. Should have been blown dead, but it was kind of in the same motion that he loses his helmet that Cirelli gets the puck. It was a good goal.
Is that if there's an imminent scoring threat when a goalie's helmet comes off, they're not going to blow the whistle no matter what, which there was. If there's no imminent scoring or anything like that that's close to happening, then they blow the whistle immediately. But if there's somebody who's like right there who could potentially possibly score a goal, they do not blow the whistle. That's the rule.
Yep.
Yeah,
Nathan McKinnon, then as
if-
Shrum alluded.
If you're that close and you're potentially scoring, it's not going to, more than likely not going to hit the goalie in the head. But they got to blow that dead because we're all dumb enough to go face a shot without
Try to
a
use your
helmet
head.
just because that we.
Yeah.
Well, just because I've done it before. My helmet's come off, and I've immediately just gotten up into the position I need to be to go face the next shot. It's like, wait, I don't have a helmet. This is pretty dumb. But you don't realize it till after it's all over. But it's
Yeah, and you're
it's
playing
a
against
natural
us.
instinct, so. Yeah, well, I have to worry about my defenseman scoring on me.
Billy Dean, that you read
somebody-
in the eye. I don't think twice.
Yeah, exactly. McKinnon, like I said, the puck goes off of skating in for that in the second period to
That
tie
was
it
his first
1-1.
goal.
Yep. Hedman puts the Bolts back up after a great backhand rush goal in the second. Vasi, awesome, especially on the O'Connor breakaway in OT. The Chernak block of McKinnon's shot knocks him out. 35 block shots for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, looks like they were running out of gas, though, at the end, and you could see it in that overtime period. They were just getting manhandled. Game 5, Tampa gets the win, especially on that Palat goal. Andre Palat they have to figure out, and we'll talk about this more in the offseason, but they have to figure out a way to get this guy back because
I really hope so, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's a first liner for that team.
I'll take him.
It's gonna be tough.
I'll take him for Jersey.
Him and Nick Paul are UFAs, so everyone's saying, "Oh, we want Nick Paul back. We want Nick Paul back." But I'm like, I want friggin' Palat back. I don't want to lose him. Yeah. He was like, if they were to win the cup, honestly, I was thinking I want him to be
MVP,
the MVP, because how many clutch goals he scored.
Yeah, exactly.
Game winners.
Lastly, game winners. I mean, it's 11 game-winning goals in the playoffs. Yeah. Game 6, the Avs win 2-1. Avs to get the first cup in 21 years. The Avs are now 3 for 3 in the finals. Here's my trivia question for you guys. Can you name the only other team that is undefeated in the Stanley Cup Finals?
Undefeated.
Are these teams that have gone multiple times? Because Carolina went there one and done.
Carolina went once and won.
No,
right?
Carolina's been twice. Come on, Carolina lost to who? Very recently, too.
They lose to... Did they lose to Anaheim?
They did.
Okay. So I thought...
I remember.
Calgary undefeated?
Calgary is not undefeated. They lost to Tampa. Yeah.
They lost to Tampa. The Rangers are not undefeated.
Definitely know that.
Tampa's not undefeated.
The Devils, too, because those are miserable times. Are the Kings undefeated?
No, not the Kings. The Kings lost to the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, sorry, not the Edmonton Oilers. They lost to the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah. Sam, I was going to get the
93.
St. Louis?
That is not St. Louis. St. Louis
because St. Louis lost to Boston.
Back in like the 70s. They lost to
the
Flyers. They lost 3 in a row. They lost to the Flyers, the Bruins, and another team. I was looking at this up.
And that series against Boston is where you get the iconic
Sam says that doesn't count.
All right, so I'm going to get you guys are going to give up.
Yeah.
The Ottawa Senators are the only other team to be undefeated.
And they haven't won since
technically they only
that will stand the test of time because they'll probably never go to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, exactly. They've only in the Stanley Cup era they've won. They were there one time and won one time. So Tampa, Colorado's obviously 3 for 3 in there.
That was 20.
That was 1927. I was looking at it before.
Yeah,
I think it's 27.
Didn't Ottawa lose in the Cup final when they had Ray Emery?
No, they lost to.
I don't think they've made it that far.
I don't think they made it to
a
might have been conference final.
They were in a conference final against us because we beat Ottawa. Yeah, I think it was Ottawa that we beat that Jeff Friesen.
I have another question. Why is Toronto the number 2?
Anaheim beat.
Well,
Ottawa.
we're getting into that.
Oh, my bad. I just I don't know why I thought of that, but I saw that. I'm like, why? Why? Colorado's number 1 for next year. Toronto's number 2, and Tampa's number 3 for most likely to win the cup.
Sammy's right.
Why?
Yeah, we'll get into that one.
Why?
I don't know. Nobody knows.
Because
that was
they lost the first round and they weren't supposed to, so they got to be number 2.
Yeah, but they have no solid goaltending. We were talking
have a goalie.
We were talking last night on the Let's Go Hills podcast about Anderson or whatever being under UFA. It's like, I would rather probably pass on him for the Devils. But who are they going to bring in? It's the goalie market this summer sucks.
Darcy Kemper.
As far as
just won a cup.
Yeah, I know Darcy Kemper won a cup, but Niemi won a cup, and then he went to what? San Jose, and then just petered off into obscurity. He was only good because he was on that team. I don't know if Darcy Kemper is going to be good on. I mean, Darcy Kemper could potentially be good with that team that Toronto has, but I don't think Darcy Kemper can do good in many other places because he's just an okay goalie. He's not he's not a Vasilevsky by any means.
Unless they go via trade.
The Devils are going to have to do something via trade. But what team is dumb enough, unless they're strapped unless they're absolutely strapped for cap space, what team is dumb enough to give up a starting goaltender?
Winnipeg, Connor Hellebuck. For the
Well,
right
that's what we were
prospect.
talking about. That might be
Anaheim.
someone I know has a second overall pick that's potentially movable.
Yeah, but I wouldn't give Connor Hellebuck up for the kind of weak draft.
I mean, this
You
could
know.
get possibly Shane Wright as the number 2 overall pick, who is, a very good player. I mean, we'll see.
Number 1.
I mean, they're talking about the Joseph Swarovski kid. There's a lot of
there's talks
in that
of
number 1 spot.
it could be a crapshoot at this point with who's going to go number 1.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless, if the Devils keep the pick, which they probably will, but if the Devils keep the pick, they're going to get a great player. By all means, they're going to get a great player.
They're not going to get a superstar.
We know, Sam. We know.
Logan Cooley.
Pittsburgh native. Logan Cooley.
Logan Cooley, yeah.
He attended the Sidney Crosby hockey camp.
Yep. Speaking of McKinnon and Crosby, Andrew Conriano and McKinnon are both big fans of Crosby. They're friendly with him. I guess McKinnon had stayed in room 1787. Well, they're very good buddies. So apparently he stayed in like room 1787. He said that was an omen that they were going to win that win the cup last night because he stayed in 87 was the room number. Obviously he trains with Crosby in the off season. McKinnon also said that at both Stanley Cup parties that Crosby had, McKinnon was the drunkest guy at the party, and he expects at his party this year, he wants Crosby to be the drunkest guy. So
Sidney what? This goes to show that Sidney Crosby is such a great player that all you need to do is think about him, and it makes you a better player.
Yeah, Jesus, shouldn't have even made that comment.
So
McKinnon,
you're saying McKinnon was McKinnon was the shorts guy of Crosby's cup parties.
Yeah,
loud, drunk asshole.
Yep. Exactly.
That's right.
Like we said, McKinnon with the goal and assist in the game winner, and then Luckinen had that game-winning goal. He had 4 game-winning goals in this playoffs. It's the 10th come-from-behind win in playoffs for the Avs. It ties the record. They never lost consecutive games, so they are the new Tampa Bay Lightning with the never losing consecutive games. Obviously, the Rangers were the first to knock off Tampa. So, lastly, Cooper questioning.
But did the Rangers win the cup?
Lastly, Cooper.
Who went to the Stanley Cup?
Shrimp, I'm trying to get to the next point here. Jesus.
Shrimp, where did you go? Where did you go, Shrimp?
I'm leaving. I'm out of here.
Lastly, Cooper questioned whether coaches should be the ones to challenge the video.
I'm drunk.
Too many white claws.
Questioned whether coaches should be the ones to challenge the video review system. He thinks the NHL should have the challenge and enact it when needed, especially in the playoffs. So we'll see how the NHL and the PA discusses that in the offseason. All right, so I wanted to discuss quickly with you guys, because it's the Stanley Cup, some facts. The Stanley Cup is approximately... Yep, I hate you. The fact is that the Avalanche are the Cup winners, so take that, Schwem. Approximately 3 feet tall, 37 pounds.
No.
Remember, if you're not first, you're last. You're a loser just like me. Approximately 3 feet tall, 37 pounds. It would be 6.5 feet tall if all the archive rings were integrated. There are 52 names that can be engraved on the cup max. A ring is retired every 13 years. Obviously, the Hall of Fame in Toronto.
I don't like that. I think they should let it go. Let this thing get as tall as humanly possible. So
yeah, I want guys to have to super stretch.
I want the whole team to be able to hold the cup at the same time. It'd be amazing.
That'd be pretty cool. The next ring. Now listen to this one. The next ring will be tired in the 2030-31 championship. The team that's going to be booted off that would be the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that would be funny that Toronto's off the cup.
Fantastic. There'll be no history of them ever bringing it up.
no Toronto history.
Be erased from the archives.
No, but,
exactly.
But they have to be etched somewhere on the upper part, in the upper ring part. There's got to be a Toronto.
Hold on, we'll get to that in a second. Hold on, Shorts. We'll get to that in a second. Right. The cup was not awarded on 2 occasions: the 1919 Spanish flu pandemic, which was between Seattle Metropolitans and the Montreal Canadiens, and obviously the 04-05 lockout. Obviously almost happened in 2020 with the bubble and COVID, but luckily the NHL was able to get it in. It used to be called the Stovepipe. The nickname was the Stovepipe, starting in 1927, as there were separate rings for each winner. So it was literally just this long, stovepipe-looking trophy. Yep, pretty cool. In 1938, the Montreal Maroons were dissolved, but not before winning 2 cups and having 11 players enter the Hall of Fame from that franchise. Prior to 1927, the NHL Cup would face the winner from the WCHL and the PCHA for the Stanley Cup rights. The WHL, which was the combo of the WCHL and the PCHA, folded in 1926, and now we have just the Stanley Cup between NHL teams. Yes, exactly. The cup we now see was a part of the. Yeah, I always like these facts, so it's pretty cool. The cup we now see was a part of the redesign based in 1948. So this is from 1948. This is the new design of the cup. The Leafs won their first cup final
before the Rangers.
They also won before the Devils. So take that. The Leafs won the first cup final to go 7 games. They did so after actually losing the first 3 games to Detroit. So they're the first time to come back down 3-0. From 1942 to 1967, the Leafs and Canadiens each won the Cup 10 times, 26 years. They won it 10 times each. The Wings won it 5 times, the Rangers 1 time. No Bruins or Hawks winning in the original 6 era. So we are actually one of the winning original 6 members.
With 1.
There have been 4...
Still only had 5 teams to beat. Still couldn't do it.
There were 4 Toronto teams to have won the Cup.
Once.
Exactly. 4 Toronto teams have won the Cup, a total of 14 times. They are the Toronto Hockey Club of the NHA, the Toronto Arenas, the Toronto St. Patrick's, and obviously the Maple Leafs. And now the Toronto will officially have their name knocked off because in 1967, that's the last time they won. The only Toronto team that will be on there is the St. Patrick's. So Toronto Maple Leafs will not be a part of the Cup.
Which Toronto's used those. Toronto, I believe, has used those jerseys recently.
Yeah.
Leafs isn't even a word.
St. Patrick's is pretty good.
Yeah,
it's not.
Leafs. The first expansion team, can you name the first expansion team to win the Cup? The expansion list was, for you guys to remember, the Kings, the North Stars, the Seals, the Flyers, the Penguins, and the Blues. Who won the first Cup?
Flyers, wasn't it?
The 1974 Broad Street Bullies, Philadelphia Flyers. They're who was the last one from that group to win?
Well, the Seals folded. Right.
They won a cup, but they won a cup.
Blues for the last one?
So they weren't the last.
2019.
Yeah.
Canadians have won 24 times, but Canada has not won since 1992-1993.
Yikes.
Which was the Canadians.
Which was the Canadians, yeah. But Canada sucks.
Against the Kings.
All right, let's do a little NHL awards ceremony.
Why did they not announce who won GM of the year, or did they yet? Because I remember at the award ceremony, they only announced the candidates and never actually awarded it to anybody. And does anyone know why?
Oh, I thought they did.
Probably because they didn't want
I thought it went.
I only heard the nominees. Who actually won it.
Yeah.
It was. Jim Gregory. Yeah, so 6 days ago was Brisebois, Drury, and Sakic, and they have yet to announce a winner. Huh.
No.
Why? NHL award. Drury won it. GM of the year.
Drury won it over Sakic and Brisebois.
Yeah, doesn't seem right.
Lame.
That's a little odd.
Lame.
Oh no, sorry. Hold on. This just says he was nominated. All right, my bad.
There you go.
God damn it.
See?
Exactly.
Yep, my bad. My bad. Yeah, it has not been announced yet.
Rangers can't win anything. Rangers can't win anything.
Yeah, exactly.
On the Vezina.
Yeah, so hold on, we'll get to that. So, all right, so a couple trophy winners. Hart Trophy.
We don't have to.
Austin Matthews.
No, we don't have
we'll get to it. Austin Matthews won the Hart over Shesterkin and McDavid. Obviously, his 61 goals set the Toronto franchise record. It was the leading goal scorer.
Can't win a cup, though.
In this year's draft,
and
the most goals in 20 years. Sorry, 10 years.
And are you going to mention what Keenan Thompson said when he was awarded that award?
Yeah, it was pretty great.
That was
What do you say? Go ahead.
fantastic.
Go ahead,
Did you
Shweka.
Someone like the Toronto
So I'm
finally
going to
winning
butcher
something.
this line,
in
but
June.
yeah. Keenan Thompson said, "Well, it's about time to see Toronto winning something in June."
Yep, exactly. And Austin Matthews' face, it was pretty funny when he said that. Austin Matthews was not happy about that one.
And then they cut him off, and then they cut him and the show off, and it just was like over. That was it.
Yes.
It was the weirdest
Exactly.
like little finale, but at least he got that dig in. It was pretty great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Just quickly on the Hart. So obviously 61 goals, but I have to put a little props in for my boy Shesterkin.
There we go.
His 20
No.
points added to the
Sammy,
Rangers this year.
cue the Hulk music, please.
He
Please
was
cue the Hulk music. Sammy.
Shesterkin was the only
just-
person
just
to
have
get
somebody playing
20
a
points
fiddle or a
added from
violin.
just his play. Yep.
Oh, the
It was the most in the league.
Titanic music,
So-
Sammy. The Titanic music, please.
Shesterkin added the most points to his team in the
Shesterkin.
league. That's an MVP to me.
How?
They do it by there's a
Well-
stat where you can get points added per like individual results. Shesterkin had 20 points added to his team by his play this year.
Sounds
which
like
was
a
the most in the
flawed
league.
The Rangers
statistic.
would have been nothing without Shesterkin.
No,
How do you feel that McAvoy had
Exactly.
more votes than Adam Fox for the
he
The North.
also had more votes. He also had more votes than Roman Yossi. So
That's nuts. No, he doesn't. He was fourth in the vote. Well, I mean points wise. It was McAvoy
Points-wise.
was fourth. And Adam Fox was 5.
it's okay. I still have a top 5 defenseman, which is
Yossi
more
McAvoy
than what
was-
Schwartz and I- or Steven
McAvoy-
could say.
by like 20 points.
Makar?
Makar only beat out Yossi by like 20 points for the voting.
La 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 Luke.
That's a good soundbite.
Luke, I am your father. Lord, la, lo, la, lo, lo, la.
Is that? Are you referencing that? Are you
I'm wearing
referencing
the
that Billy
appropriate
Dean reminds you of Chris Farley?
If he puts on the Colorado jersey, he'll sing
I
a
have
song.
sound bites for the rest of the episode.
Vezina, Shesterkin beats out Markstrom and
Here
Saros.
comes-
Calder
here it comes.
Trophy.
Well
Moritz
deserved.
Sider
That wasn't even
beats
close.
out Bunting
That's an advantage.
and Zegers.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
it shouldn't have been.
I think Shesterkin was unanimous. I thought, right?
Vesna?
He got all-
No.
He had 20,
Unanimous.
he had 29 first place votes. You know who else had a first place vote? Markstrom and Saros had 0 first place votes.
Oh my
The
God,
only
who
other
got the
people to
first
get
place?
first place votes were Freddie Anderson, Andre Vasilevsky, and Ilya Sorokin.
Yeah.
So two of the 3 guys that were nominated had no first place votes.
That's amazing. Calder, like I said, Sider over Bunting and Zegers. Ted Lindsay was Austin Matthews, obviously the most outstanding player.
I'm
as
actually
voted by
surprised. I'm actually
other
surprised
players.
that didn't go to Connor McDavid. Honestly, like I didn't think
I guess
Connor
everybody
McDavid
liked
should have
it
won the
most.
Hart, but I'm surprised that McDavid didn't win Ted Lindsay.
The Norris was Kel Makar. He beats out Roman Yossi, which was amazing to me, and Victor Hedman.
Yeah, I don't
quickly
agree
on-
with that as much as
So I agree.
as great as Makar is. I don't agree that he was better than Riosi this year.
So
just had more
Jeff Merrick, who voted for Kel Makar, said that he had Yossi as 4th on his list behind McAvoy, and he said his reasoning was because of deployment, and these guys played tougher minutes than Roman Yossi. To get 96 points, you'd play against tough competition.
Out
That's ridiculous.
of here.
You're putting McAvoy ahead of Yossi and Hedman? Are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
I think McAvoy had an unappreciated season because he was very good this year, but
Yeah.
Winning season or top
I don't
3.
I don't how don't you I don't understand like how don't you I don't know. I didn't see anybody better than Roman Yossi this year at defense.
No.
To put 3 other guys ahead of him to me is mind blowing. And I watched him. I went to see him live against Pittsburgh too, and he is that good. And he played against every top. I don't know.
I don't know the deployment thing.
I'll get into it. Makes sense.
I mean, listen, Kel Makar had a ridiculous season, so it's
Yeah,
it's
don't downplay
not
that.
it's not a massive slight, but Roman Yossi should have been the Norris winner. Absolutely.
It's a pretty massive slide because Yossi, this is the best season of his career, without a doubt, on a hot garbage team.
He almost had 100 points. The last person to do that, it was 20 years ago. So that's a crazy that he didn't win that. Art Ross obviously was McDavid for most points. Rocker Richard was Austin Matthews most goals. Selke was Patrice Bergeron, voted by the PHWPA. Masterton was Carey Price. Lady Bing was Kyle Connor. Jennings was Freddie Anderson and Antti Raanta. Yeah, it's terrible looking.
I kind of hate it.
Which trophy?
The Masterton. And only because I don't think you should have a contest of who overcame the shittiest circumstance. Like, just appreciate what they did, and maybe just pick a guy and don't make candidates for it. Maybe that would make it a little bit easier, right? But like, how the hell? Like, how can you say? I know Carey Price did some good. He overcame. I don't want to downplay his situation at all, but like, how do you say that Jimmy Hayes didn't go through something much worse? Like Kevin Hayes? I'm sorry, something much worse. It's just, how do you grade that? I just don't understand how you can vote somebody. Somebody had a worse situation, so they deserve this award. When everyone, all players involved overcame something pretty terrible.
And maybe I just didn't see, what did Chara? Was that just because of his career?
It's because he went to Long Island.
He overcame being old.
He overcame. Yeah, Steve said the defender turned 45 before the end of the 2021-22 season, yet has still played a regular role on a team that was fighting for a playoff spot. They were not fighting for a playoff spot, first of all. Logging nearly 19 minutes per night for the Islanders while only missing 10 games. I mean, just because he's old, you got him a nominee for the match. I could have thought of many people that had a better,
I don't know, but I can't.
Probably because they needed someone. Probably because they needed someone from the Islanders, and he was probably the only viable candidate from the Islanders. Because
maybe
there's a candidate for, because I think the Devils' candidate was Subban.
Yeah, but for him to be top 3 is ridiculous.
Well, I mean, what they should have done is they should have nominated the Devils fan base for Masterton Award for going through the season we went through with 17,000 goaltenders, and Shorts guy was not one of them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
King Clancy was PK Subban. Obviously, that's leadership on and off the ice, humanitarianism. Jack Adams was Daryl Sutter. We talked about that. Andre Kopitar, Mark Messier, and then Willie O'Ree was Noel Acton from Baltimore. That guy's story, very cool. Teaching hockey to Baltimore Baltimoreans. I don't even know whatever it is. Kids from Baltimore.
Baltimoreans.
Noel Acton. Yeah.
San Diego.
Good job.
San Diego.
San Diegans. It means.
San Diego.
I'm not saying it.
All
right.
We know
Schwimm's other favorite topic of the year, the odds for next season's Stanley Cup winner. Number one, Colorado Avalanche. Obviously, you have to beat
Probably
the champs.
accurate.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Number 2, you would think it should be the Stanley Cup champions, or at least from the year prior, or at least the team that was in the conference finals, minus something like last year, who was. Montreal Canadiens should have never been in the Cup Finals.
No way, but
you would figure it might be Tampa Bay, but no, it is the Toronto Leafs, the Leafs, whatever you want to call them, a team that does not have a goaltender, on the roster. All 3 of them are free agents. A team that is cap strapped and can't make any adds to a team that lost in the first round.
Shorts guy's available.
A team that
Shorts guy's available.
Yeah. A team that has a history of coughing and throwing up all over their playoff chances. How is this team number 2?
I don't know. I don't know where they come up with the odds calculations.
They expected Toronto to have a really good year and maybe make a run this year, and it didn't happen. So they're like, oh, we got to put them on the odds, the books for next year to overcome what they overcame this year. It makes zero sense.
Maybe game 1 of the season you can come up with these chances, but right now, they're saying these are the odds.
They had them like that. So as soon as the game was over, they had odds.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and they have they literally don't have a goalie. They literally haven't won a playoff series in decades, and
Yeah.
here we are, second
They're number 2.
highest chance.
Number 2.
Mhm.
Number 2.
I mean,
They are number. They are number 2.
I want to know.
Consistently
I
number
wish
2.
they could give us reasoning for exactly why you chose Toronto Maple Leafs to be the number 2
Well,
ranked team.
the reason
for
why,
the
well,
Stanley Cup.
They're basically win the Eastern Conference and go to the Stanley Cup. Basically, is what they're saying. They're going to go to the
Well,
Stanley Cup.
the reason why they have
Which
these
is
odds right now,
possible, but, like, I don't know how you could say that.
the reason why they have these odds right now is because they want drunk people at the bar who were just out watching the Stanley Cup final to start throwing $20 on this team, that team, this team, that team, just to start collecting money now. For all the,
If I'm the
for all
Leafs fan, I don't
with-
want to be a favorite.
But with that argument and what they're like,
Doesn't-
why wouldn't you pick Florida? Florida just had, the best season ever with
President's winning
offensive
trophy.
numbers through the charts, with most of the core roster coming back without much changes, except for now they have a new coach. Why wouldn't Florida be? I don't know. Why Toronto over Florida?
I think the Rangers have just as much of a chance, or Penguins, of getting to the Cup final as Tampa. I mean, as Toronto.
Where are the
does.
Devils in this?
I agree.
I haven't opened up any of my
Yeah.
apps.
Wherever they are, show us going to put a bet on. Those odds
Yeah,
got to be
no.
good
bet on.
right now.
I did win my Colorado bet, so I won some money, and I also won money for the Pick'em this year for winning the championship for all the picks we did for the 4 rounds of playoffs. So
Aren't
good
you
for me.
special?
Paul Maurice, just a couple quickly jobs were announced this past week. Paul Maurice takes over for Burnett in Florida, which I didn't see that coming. Surprisingly,
I absolutely saw that coming because I did not.
You saw
see him
you saw
as
Paul Maurice.
not Paul Maurice, but I saw Brunette not being their head coach.
Well,
the guy is not.
I
the head
agree on
coach.
Brunette. I agree
Florida's
on
an
that,
awesome
but
team.
Paul
You can put
Maurice
anybody
being the
there.
guy.
Paul Maurice was strange. I didn't see him coming out of there, but I didn't
Now
see
this
Brunette
is a crazy one.
staying there.
So Burnett still has a year left. He could come back as an assistant coach next year under Paul Maurice. That would be
There's
crazy.
No way he's coming back. Imagine
But
that.
he still has a year
Oh
on his
my God.
contract.
There's no way.
Another stupid hiring, Pete DeBoer to coach the Stars. These retread
recycle.
coaches, they just keep bringing them back more and more.
I appreciate
and you-
Dallas. They're into recycling. That's fine. Good for them.
Yeah. and you can only imagine Jake Ottinger is not happy about this. Obviously, the
I don't
guy's
know
a
who that
goalie
is.
killer.
Who's
So. Ettinger?
I'll take him.
Who?
I'll take him on New Jersey.
What is it?
Ottinger.
Ettinger? Ottinger? Damn it.
Ottinger.
Jay Woodcroft is extended with the Oilers for 2 more seasons to 24-25. And then, Burnett,
Why
we'll see
not?
what happens. And it looks lastly like Barry Trotz will not be the head coach in Winnipeg.
Anywhere.
He's turned them down, so Winnipeg is looking for elsewhere.
He doesn't want to coach.
The
I don't
three-
think at all.
Yeah.
He's taking your
No,
off.
he's going to take a year off. I think there's probably discussions somewhere with some organization that potentially has a coach in the hot seat that he's kind of in the reserve for.
Mm.
So I think he's
So they-
basically behind the scenes promised a position in a year from now, and he's just kind of hanging out, waiting to see what happens. Or, during the course of the season, somebody gets fired and they bring him in.
It's canned.
Could be.
The only 3 teams looking for a coach are the Detroit Red Wings, the Boston Bruins, and the Winnipeg Jets. Couple
Well,
quick
we haven't
signings.
actually announced that we have our coach yet.
And Chicago
Yeah?
hired somebody. Or
Did I miss?
somebody just
No,
got
I
hired.
don't think
so.
Luke
Richardson or I think got
Yeah,
hired
it is
by-
Luke Richardson. Sorry. Yeah,
that
Richardson is
Chicago?
Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Sorry,
been
he
a long
obviously
time.
led Montreal to the Cup final last year while what's his name was out. Who's the coach for Montreal last year before he got fired? Or 2 years ago.
Ducharme.
Ducharme, thank you.
Yeah. Still your boy there.
Sorry.
Sean.
Marty
Quickly,
St.
Andre
Louis.
Kuzmenko.
Bring it back.
Marty St. Louis, yep. Andre Kuzmenko, who's the top winger in Russia, signed with Vancouver. Last year at 53 points in 45 games. A lot of people were in on him. So good for, Vancouver getting Kuzmenko. Lastly, Ethan Bear is allowed to look for trades. He was a healthy scratch in the playoffs for the Canes. And looks like Pierre-Luc Dubois might test free agency, and Blake Wheeler is allowed to look for a trade, which was a mutual decision by the team. So some turnover in Winnipeg.
Nobody likes Winnipeg.
Hellbuck's a turnover too. By the way, the Devils are plus
miserable.
plus 7,500.
I think it's just the
The Devils
weather.
are plus
Nobody
7,500 to win the cup next year.
Plus 7,500. Put
Put a
20
bet on
bucks
there,
down.
Shorts. Boom.
Plus 7,500, which is the same as the Senators and the Ducks, and then worse, the Blackhawks, the Kraken, the Blue Jackets, the Sharks, the Canadiens, and the Coyotes are all. Hold on. Let me say this again, because math is not my strong suit. The Blackhawks, the Kraken, and the Blue Jackets and the Sharks are both plus 10,000.
No,
Nice.
Kraken and Coyotes are. Kraken is plus
Um,
15,000, and Coyotes are plus 50,000.
Yeah, I was
the
going to say,
Coyotes
how's
what
Arizona not
What
there?
I'm looking is Coyotes are plus 50,000, and Kraken is plus 10. The Canadiens are plus 15,000.
Canadians.
So a $5 bet on the a $5 bet from what I'm looking at
On the Coyotes.
on DraftKings. A $5 bet on the Coyotes will net you
Hey, Billy Dean.
$2,500 if they
You want to
win
make
that cup.
our draft party announcement?
Ooh,
Actually, I would
ooh.
like Sam to get on that. It looks like we will be at Enzo's. Sam, are you on? We will be at Enzo's on the 7th. Is it? Sorry, what day is
The
that?
7th, yep.
Is it the
NHL
7th?
draft is
7th,
the
yeah,
7th.
Oh,
Enzo's in
NHL draft.
Hackettstown.
Birthday party.
Hackettstown
We should make
/
them a birthday
Mansfield.
party.
Okay.
Again,
Yeah,
That's
Hackensack
2 days
/ Mansfield.
It's 2 days after my
Power
birthday
hour?
party. It should be the summer of 40. We
a
should make it the summer of 40.
pre-draft power hour
And then followed by
might ensue.
Wait, I mean, our NHL knowledge on prospects will be even worse if you guys are, 7 or 8 beers deep.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. I have no NHL
But at least
knowledge.
I
no
have
prospect
I have
knowledge.
some facts. I have some facts on
I have
prospects. I've
none.
been watching a little bit. Just quickly, so that Steve knows, his Penguins are plus 2,500. My Rangers are plus 1,600, and Tampa Bay is plus 900.
I'm gonna throw $20 on the Devils to win the cup next year.
do it, guy.
How about that?
What are they?
I mean,
Plus
that's-
7,500?
Plus 75, yeah.
Plus 9. Yeah. All right. We'll get to some things coming up. Teams that have been
Jets-
asked in the
the
playoffs.
Jets-
What's next for those teams?
15,000.
Yep. Yeah, both 15,000. Talking a little bit about Whitney and Biznasty. But my beer, quickly, Dream Patch, I'll give a solid 4.
Mine's also a 4. Melvin agrees.
I'm gonna give the tinfoil hats, which is a collab with Tin Barn and alternate endings. I'm gonna give it a 3.75.
Nice.
I'm not
Sure.
giving a rating to White Claw, and I'll give a 4.0 to the Cape May.
Take her home, Schwinn. You're a loser, like us.
I'm back with the Losers Club. Woo!